Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we'll be going straight into the video without wasting so much time, and the fabric I'll be using for today is bridal satin. That's what I'll be using. If you have any thicker one you can as well use it, but not too thick. So I have about 1.5 yard here. Please, if you want to make yours, use about 2 yards or 2.5. So for our fabric, we are going to be folding. This is the normal way to fold it, or let's say this is how other people have been folding. So you fold the first fold where you have how many yards you have your fabric, and then you fold over. I don't know if you understand this. So this place is going to be your neckline, and this is the center front. But for me, because my fabric is 1.5 yard, I'll be folding the normal way we fold our fabric, where I cutting normal gown. Not like normal gown, this is normal gown as well, but where I cutting a regular gown. So my fabric is folded into 4. As you can see, my shoulder area is open, but if you fold the way I showed you guys, the shoulder area will be closed. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a straight line to serve as our starting point, and whatever you're going to fold will be your hip measurement divided by 4, which I'm going to mark now. Then I'm going to be adding 4.5 inches. Please, if you want, that's 2 inches into 4 inches, not 4.5. That's what I added, 4 inches. If you want your place to be wider than this, please add more. Then I'm adding 1 inch for sleeve for ease. Remember, it's not going to be a fitted gown. Then I added 1.5 inches for my seam allowance. If you want it to have your sleeve at this point, please insert your, not at this point, at your shoulder area, just like I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go ahead and insert half of my shoulder measurement, and the next thing I did is just to leave the remaining to be just like we marked earlier. But if you want yours to have sleeve, please go ahead and extend this as long as you want your sleeve to be, so it's cut together kind of gown. The next thing I did is to mark my my neckline, and for the width I marked at 2.5 inches, and then for the depth for the front neckline I am marking at 3 inches. So I'm going to make a curve to connect this. Remember, we are marking our front and our back bodies together. Then for the back bodies, for the length of it, I am marking at 1 inch, and then the width is the same with the front. So for the person that asks of the sleeve, please remember to add your sleeve measurement from from the place that we stopped at as we inserted our measurement. I hope you understand. So the next thing I did is to mark the length of the gown, which is at 42 inches plus 2 inches allowance for hemming, and I'm going to go ahead and connect the lines. And that's all for the marking of the bodies, basically all for the marking, I believe. I'm going to cut it out, add ½ inch for at the shoulder line to join it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel up to this moment, please use the 1 minute to subscribe to my channel. And to my old subscribers, I say thank you very much for all your support. You guys know I appreciate it. Thank you very much for all your support. So I'm just going to separate the two fabrics, these 2 pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out my front neckline. So after cutting out our neckline, you want to add slits to this front neckline so that it will be able to pass through the neck or as the size style required. So for this slit, I'm going down by 2.5 inches, and then I'm going to use my scissors to cut it open. And this is it after I was done cutting it. This is how it's going to look for yours. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the facing for this gown. And for my facing, my fabric is folded into 2, just like you see in the video. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to place, I'm cutting the front one first, to place my front bodies on the fabric. making sure I have the center neckline, the center front matching the center of the fabric, that the folded fabric I have for the facing. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to pin it down, because you don't want it to keep moving as you mark this. You can as well remark your neckline on this fabric if you want, but this is the easiest one. So then what I'm going to do is to trace out my neckline on this, and then I'm going to mark also where my slit ended, the neck slit ended. I'm going to mark it as well. So from where the slit ended, I'm going to be marking 2.5 inches from that slit opening, 2.5 inches. Then I'll mark, I'm just pinning it down so it to keep it in place. Then at the beginning of the neckline, at the shoulder line, I also mark 2.5 inches there. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this line. You see the way I connected it, so don't make mistake of not marking including the slit to it. You see the way it is, that's the same way you are going to mark yours. So I repeat the same process for the back one. I place it on the fabric, trace it out, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert my measurement, that's 2.5 inches for the facing, and mark it all around before going ahead to cut it out. So let's go into the sewing tutorial. The first thing I'm going to do is to use my facing to turn my neckline. And for this, I just open the front of my body. So the first thing will be, you place it at the front side of the body, the right side of the fabric. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin it down all around. After pinning it down, I went ahead to stitch it down. Then the next thing I'm going to do is the front body. You will see the way I'm going to stitch it. So what I did is to place the facing onto the bodies and then started pinning it. So I'm just flipping it to the other side so that you guys can see how I pinned it down and how I'm going to stitch it down. So I just keep pinning this down to keep it in place so that it doesn't move while I want to stitch it. So you're going to stitch then to the slit and then up to the other side of the neckline, just like you see me showing you guys. That's how you're going to stitch it down. So this is it after I was done stitching it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut open the slit on the facing. Remember, I did not cut the facing out open after cutting it out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it open. Then I'm going to go ahead and notch all the fabrics all around. So after notching it down, I turned it to the wrong side, and then I'm going to go ahead and iron this down. So this is it after I was done ironing it down. The next thing I'm going to do is to place the back bodies front facing front. That's what we're going to do, so that we can go ahead and stitch our shoulder. So for this shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and match my neckline, making sure that the neckline, the edge of the neckline, if that's what it's called, is matching each other. Then I'm going to use one facing to cover the other one, just like you see me to do. Make sure that the two neckline are matching, and then I'm going to use the one of the facing to cover the other one, the neckline. Then I'm going to go ahead and start pinning this down. I'll pin it from the end of the neckline to the end of the shoulder so that we can stitch it down. So I've gone ahead to stitch my shoulder and the two shoulders down, and I also plaited the other side of the gown. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it on this other side. So the first thing I did is to fold my fabric into two. Before making the place, I folded it into the two and then iron it to get a line there, to make a line there, just like you see. I hope you guys can see it. So from that center line, just to get the center of the fabric per se, at that center line I marked 3.5 inches, and then from there I am going to go ahead and from that 3.5 inches I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches. I'll repeat the same process. I'll mark 3.5 inches and then I'll mark 1.5 inches into two. I'll mark 1.5 inches and then mark another 1.5 inches. That 1.5 inches is what you're going to hold together to stitch it down. So I just added the 1.5 inches that I forgot at the first place. I'm going to repeat the same process all around on this front and the back bodies. That's I mark 3.5 inches and then mark 1.5 into two. That's 1.5 inches. I hope you understand this. So after marking it, I'm going to hold the first 1.5 inches I marked, and then the second one, that's the 3.5 inches points and the end of the 1.5 inches. I hope you understand this. So that's where the 3.5 inches started and where the second 1.5 inches ended, that's what I'm going to hold and then pin it down, making sure that I have my the pin at the 2 points like I explained. So after pinning it down, I'm going to keep it the way you guys can see and then stitch it all the way from one end to the other. And then while stitching, make sure that your shoulder line is matching, please. Like we did not fold the normal way, so make sure that your neckline is matching each other. So we plaited at 1.5 inches. I just hope you understand this. If there's any confusing part, please leave a comment below and I'll clarify it. Then for the second pleat, I'm going to go ahead and pleat. I am pleating at 1 inch. That's 1 inch on both sides. That's 2 inches. I just measured the other one to make sure that I have 2 inches there, 1 inch there by the time I plait it. And your plaited is you're supposed to go a little bit under the first one so that by the time you stitch it down, it's not going to be the stitches are not going to be showing. So I'm going to do the same thing I did at the other plate or the first one. Pin it down and then go to my sewing machine to stitch the two plaits down. So this is it after I was done stitching it down. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a press to iron it down. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to work on the sleeve. Remember, if your sleeve is longer than this one, the fabric is supposed to be longer as at now. So I marked at 8 inches because I want the armhole to be free. I don't want it to be tight. So from the shoulder length, I marked 8 inches on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and then fold this in by about 1 inch. That's 2.5 inches. Just little folding to hem it on both sides. So this is it after I was done. You can see it's just a little fold there. I've done folding the armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do is to turn it to the wrong side. That's front facing front. Then I'm going to go ahead and stitch it down on my hemming allowance on both sides, starting from the armhole. And I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So this is it after I was done with it. It's coming together already. The next thing I'm going to do is to hem the gown with the allowance that we added. And that's all for this style. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you do. If you haven't subscribed to my channel up to this moment, please subscribe to my channel. And this is the gown. If you would like, just like I mentioned, if you want your place bigger than this, please extend your allowance while adding it. But for me, I just wanted it because it's a child. I don't want something too big for her. I prefer comfort to fashion. I don't know if I'm the only one. So that's all for this style. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed up to this moment, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.